Hey, Metal Maniacs. This is Daniel Gallar of Veil of Deception, and you're listening to Dave Softees Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio. Don't forget to blow your speakers. Cheers.
Alrighty, Metal Maniacs, here we go. Please help me welcome to Metal Messiah Radio, hailing from Vienna, Austria, from heavy groove metal band Veil of Deception. Joining us, we have vocalist Daniel Gallar.
Hey there.
Welcome to the Metal Meltdown, Daniel. Thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for reaching out to me. You just contacted me yesterday, and you told me that you know Reiner from Enclave, and you were really enthusiastic about getting an interview, so here we are. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's more like thank you, Dave. I mean, yeah, it's true. I've been a big fan of yours for quite some time now. So I've been following your every move, over the last few months. A lot of the interviews that you've done. I know the bands well, and I was really impressed. So when I heard that, you did the interview with Reiner of Enclave, I was like, okay, let's give it a shot. So thank you so much for having me, man. It's really exciting that you took me on. So thank you so much for taking the time, bro.
Oh, of course. I really appreciate your enthusiasm. So I had to check out your music, and I did check out your latest CD, Tearing Up the Roots, that was released on Slip Trick Records. Very interested to know what led you to sign with them, and how are they working out for you?
Right after we put out Tearing Up the Roots, we started looking for a label, of course. And so first we released it, it was like an independent release, and we figured it was going to stay that way, but we did a little bit of shopping around, a little bit of window shopping. And at first we came by a couple offers from labels, and we were not impressed. To be brutally honest with you, when we got their offers, we thought that was pure extortion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah, I know. You wouldn't believe it. Some of the clauses there, we were like, what the hell were they thinking? Anyway, so in the end, for some reason, Slip Trick, they took a very keen interest in us. So they sent us an offer, and we thought, everything checked out. They sounded legit. So we went for it. And in terms of our collaboration so far, I mean, obviously they're a small label, so they do all they can, and it's not like before or prior to being signed, we hadn't done any work, so I think we already had made a good name for ourselves. But if anything, what they did, they helped Tearing Up the Roots. They really put it on the map. They gave us a lot more exposure. They're very approachable as well, so they're doing a pretty good job. They are giving us a lot of promo, that sort of thing, so it's working real well so far, and we really hope it stays that way.
I wish that for you. That sounds like a great situation for you. Congratulations on that. And as I'm saying, I checked out Tearing Up the Roots, and I find it to be a really catchy offering. Vocally, as I'm listening to your voice, it reminds me of an Italian vocalist, Terrence Holler of Eldritch, of which I'm a big fan of them. I'm not sure if you're familiar with them or their music, but I'm enjoying your voice, and I was surprised that your voice is very clean like this. I was expecting, when I first checked out the music, that I'd be hearing some growls or something. So it's a very clean, very nice sound, and like I say, very catchy.
Yeah, thank you so much for all the praise. Yeah, I think when we first formed Veil of Deception, with all the riffs and everything that the guys came up with, it was all good and well. But at the end of the day, I've never considered myself a growler. I can do some of it, but it's just not me, man. I grew up on, just the classics, I would say, like, Ronnie James Dio, Sebastian Bach of Skid Row. I'm a big thrash fan, so I'm way into Joy Belladonna, Eric A.K. of Flotsam and Jetsam, Mark Ossegeda of Death Angel. That's pretty much where I'm coming from vocally. So I figured it would be a good idea to mix my more melodic, sort of classic heavy metal style with a more groovy, almost, sometimes even modern metal approach. So I think this combination is what really gives us a very distinct edge, I would say, and it seems to work out well. So when we first corresponded and you told me that I sound like this guy, immediately I checked him out, because I got to be honest, I didn't know the band. And I can see the similarity, actually, and I was really touched, because this guy, he really has a good set of pipes on him. Yeah, thank you so much for the praise because I do see the similarities and the fact that you think I sound like this guy, I'm really moved. So thanks a lot, man.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, there's definitely a similarity. Not exactly the same, but it just when I heard your voice for the first time, I'm like, that voice sounds familiar, and then that's who I thought of. So I had to let you know that. But let's learn all we can about Veil of Deception. I see that the band formed in 2013, and you have a previous release that came out in 2013, the Deception Unveiled. Can you tell the metal maniacs that are tuning in at this time, could you tell them who makes up the rest of the band? Who makes up the entire lineup of Veil of Deception?
Unfortunately, over the last few years, we've been plagued with lineup changes, and that's always a problem with underground bands, because sometimes, you get people who are really committed, but sometimes, it doesn't really work out because it's not only about the quality of your playing, there's a whole set of dynamics, and everything has to be in place. So there's been quite a few changes there. So from the original lineup, right now, there's only Dejan Jorgovanovic, who plays guitar, and myself left. So the rest of us would be Samir Sarailic. That's the other guitarist. He's a new hire, actually. We got him early last year, and we haven't looked back, man. This guy, he has the chops, and we love his larger-than-life personality. He's a bit of a character, so he's also a great live performer. On bass, we have Thomas Hava, who recorded Tearing Up the Roots with us. Very solid bass player. On the drums, also a new hire. We got him in May last year. Chris Schubber, very young dude, very hungry, very versatile. He's actually into many styles of music, not only metal. So it's cool how he manages to incorporate all those influences into his drumming. So if I had one word to define him, he's really versatile more than anything. So as you said, we founded, Dejan and myself, we founded the band in early 2013. That was a couple months after I moved out here, actually, all the way from the UK, where I spent many years. I'm actually from Spain, born and raised. In the end, we managed to record our first album, Deception Unveiled. I think it was in October 2013. So it was just barely a few months after we formed the band. To be honest with you, I look back in retrospect, and I'm really proud of that album. I don't think we did things in a hurry or anything like that. It wasn't like a rash decision. All the songs, they were ready to go, and we were hot. We were dying to hit the studio. So we just let the magic happen, and if you listen to it, I still regard it as a very, very good release. It has some really killer tracks on it. It's been a long time. Sound-wise, I think we now sound a little different, but the basics of Veil of Deception, there's no way you can confuse us with any other band, especially because of my vocals, I think, but there's been an evolution there that somehow we have evolved into something bigger and better now. But, I'm really proud of our humble beginnings,
I hear you. Yeah, I totally understand about the lineup changes. When you're dealing with the underground, there's not much money that the bands make doing this. Maybe they make money at some live shows, but not much, I'm sure. And even if you're signed to a label, there's no guarantee you're gonna, make a lot of money in this metal world of the underground. So I am sorry to hear about your lineup changes, but it does happen, as you said. And so I wish you the best in the future moving forward.
Yeah, that's the way it goes, Dave, but at the end of the day, I think that we have now come up with the right lineup. I love these guys to bits. We get along very well. We gel very well together, and that's all that matters. So I think we got to keep up the momentum, but it's true in the underground, it's kind of hard to find people who are committed, because everyone has to hold down a job. Some of us have families and everything. So I understand that it's hard to commit, so it's all about the amount of passion that you put into it. And it's all about passion and sacrifice at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And you sound very passionate, and I'm very happy to get with you that we could talk about Veil of Deception. I learned so much about it and talk about what the future holds for you. And what you're describing about the current lineup, it sounds like you're going to have a very good future. So that's good news.
Fingers crossed, man.
Yeah. So let's learn, how did the band get its name? Who selected Veil of Deception as your band's name?
Funny you should ask. Well, when we first got together, it was myself, Dayan, the guitarist, and another guy, another guitarist called Gerd. And I remember, after a couple of jam sessions and everything, when we were trying to find a name for the band, for some reason I think it was actually Gerd who popped the name Veil of Deception. Well, actually, because I am a big fan of Death Angel, as I told you, I supported him wholeheartedly. And then further down the track, we realized it was the right decision, because it fits our lyrical content, fits also kind of like the persona that we have created for ourselves as musicians. It's just catchy. It sounds a little mysterious to it. It's a little elegant, but it's still metal. So we figured it was just a killer name. And again, it's also my very own tribute to the legendary Death Angel.
Yeah, nothing like the Bay Area thrash scene, right?
Oh man, you bet.
And let's learn all we can about this latest release of yours, Tearing Up the Roots. Who produced this, and where was this recorded? Who mixed and mastered it?
Basically, everything was done by Norbert Leitner. Now, Norbert he's actually very well known in the Austrian metal scene. I think he's now become a bit of an authority when it comes to metal. All bands, they want to have their albums produced by Norbert. And if you listen to some of the work he has done, it's easy to understand why. Enclave, for example, and you interviewed Raina just recently, for example, their second album was produced by Norbert. Also, Mortal Strike, I believe you interviewed them, I think it was at some point last year, for example.
Yes.
Their full length, that was also produced by Norbert, and many other bands, man. So he's a very sought-after metal producer. He knows his stuff. He's into all kinds of metal. He's really professional. As far as our recording process goes, I found him really supportive. He came up with really fresh ideas, so he really improved our sound, and he immediately captured the kind of sound that we were after. That's something that, from a producer standpoint, is really important. So rather than us dictating how we wanted it, because he also had the experience. In the end, it became a bit of a mixture, of what we initially wanted, and as things evolved in the studio, his own ideas and everything. So it was kind of like the best of both worlds, So his studio is called Udio Media. It's downtown in Vienna, and I strongly recommend it because he's a fantastic producer. And like I said, he's just really supportive, when you're just giving it your heart and soul in the studio and everything. He will really bring out the best in you, and that's really important.
Yeah, congratulations on that. He did a great job. He got a really nice sound out of your albums there. So I want to, congratulate you on that. So I would imagine you'd be working with him again.
We were after something, very, very organic, something not too overproduced. And I think he really hit the nail on the head on that one, So it has this jam feel to it, even though it's more like a modern metal approach. Still, there's a very organic feel to it, and that's what we were after. So yeah, congrats to him.
Yeah, excellent. I'm glad that worked out for you and for him and the entire band. That's excellent. And I find your artwork for the CD very interesting, and as I look at it, I wonder, does it have any symbolic meaning within this image? So if you could explain to us a little bit about the imagery of the CD art and who designed it and who designed your band's logo, I would really appreciate that.
As far as our artwork goes, it's actually the same artist that did our first album, Deception Unveiled. So if you pay attention to both front covers, you can see the similarity there. It's kind of like the same style, and something that we were after, and we really think it fits, the our sound. It's a little bit eerie, mysterious, intriguing, arcane, as it were, and so we wanted to go for something like that. In terms of what it means, well, I don't like to preach at people or anything like that, but to me, for example, it means kind of like transcending to the other side. As you can see, the picture there, it kind of like depicts some kind of ritual there. I'm not talking black magic or anything like that, but somehow you can see that there's something happening. So it's kind of like trying to figure out what's happening on the other side, which is something that a lot of us at some point in our lives, have questioned ourselves. It's something that we have in the back of our minds. So the artist behind that was, she's actually a Viennese artist, also a tattoo artist. She's an all-round artist, if you want. Her name is Maria Cadaver, and she has a very cool website, cadaverism.com, cadaverism with a K. And she's a big fan of the bands. So yeah, we've been using her artwork for our first two albums. We'll see what happens with the third one, but she's really proud that we used her stuff, and she was really supportive throughout. Now, in terms of the logo, it's actually a very long story. So we need to go to Bangkok in Thailand, actually. So now it's we're switching continents right now, and it's a good friend of mine. His name is Jay Jutawa. Now, a few years ago, I went to Bangkok. It was on a business trip, but I got me a CD. I went to the store, and I could hardly communicate with the shop assistant, but I was asking for a CD by a local metal band, and this guy handed me a CD by a band called System Sucker. So I flew back. System Sucker, yeah, you got it right. And I flew back to Austria. I devoured the CD. I thought it was really good. All the lyrics were in Thai, but I thought the music was really cool. So as it turns out, the following year, I had to fly back to Bangkok. So I contacted these guys, and I told them I was going to be in town. And somehow, there was a bit of a language barrier there, but we agreed to meet up at this metal bar downtown in Bangkok. So I went there with a friend, and I was like, I don't think they're going to show up. But they did show up, and are you ready for this? They prepared a gig for us. We couldn't believe it. So
that's nice.
That was a very special night. It was absolutely wild. So yeah, we hung out with them for a few days, and we flew back to Vienna, and we stayed in touch ever since. And I knew that Jay, the vocalist, I knew that he was a killer graphic designer. So straight after we put out Tearing Up the Roots, we decided, we wanted to go for a different logo, different from the one that we used for Deception Unveiled. So, I had no doubt in my mind that Jay was the right fit for us. So when I told him over the phone, he couldn't believe it, man. He was so absolutely hyped up. So I think he had the logo within 2 days. We already had the logo, and it's pretty cool, isn't it?
Wow, yeah. Wow, that's a great story, too. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, and it sounds ridiculous, but that's how it happened, man. So yeah,
no,
and it's a logo. It looks great as a sticker, for a T-shirt. I think it looks great.
Have you had any friends get that as a tattoo?
I think that someone is planning on that now. So yeah, I'll send you pictures when it's done.
I would appreciate that. I can see that happening. It's very artful. Very, very well. Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you.
Yeah, I do appreciate that story. That's a great story. And I'm just interested to know, have you been busy performing out there in support of Tearing Up the Roots? Have you been currently in tours? I believe you were telling me that you showed me a banner of a show you have coming up, actually with Enclave. So if you'd like to tell us about maybe some of your previous engagements, previous shows, and some shows you have coming up, and what are among some of your proudest moments being in this band, The Veil of Deception. If there's some stories you'd like to share with us, we'd love to hear it. Yeah.
How much time do we have? No, I'm kidding. We've been doing a lot of gigs. We've never actually toured, but we've been pretty active. We've done a whole lot of shows since we formed the band. Nice. It was really amazing, second to none. Some of our proudest moments, I don't know. We've played with quite a few big bands. If you want to call them big, but we've done gigs with bands like Rage, Flotsam and Jetsam, Nervosa, for example, and quite a few others. So There's been quite a few big moments for us. For me personally, for example, supporting Flotsam was really special because they're one of my favorite bands ever, and Eric AK, he's actually one of my favorite singers, and one of the reasons that I picked up the microphone in the first place. So it was just really cool hanging out with him, like in the backstage and everything. So that was really deep for me. But I got to be honest. I mean, for me, proudest moments. Well, every time I spin either one of our albums, I still get goosebumps.
Oh yeah, nice.
the hair on the back of my neck, literally stands up. So that means that I think we did a very good job. And at the end of the day, Dave, you have to make good music for yourself, first of all. And then if other people like it, so be it, the more the better. But at the end of the day, if you are satisfied with what you have done, then you have really accomplished, what you were after, your goal. Yeah, I'm really proud of everything I've done with the band.
And one of the most important things about doing these interviews is to inform the fans that are either new or longtime fans how they could support the band by getting merch, getting the music. And so I would like to know where you would say would be the best place for a fan, whether they're new or old, of Veil of Deception, to find merch and find the music of your band, where the fans can support the band by getting merch. Now, I checked out, of course, your Facebook, so let me give the Facebook link. That's facebook.com/Veil of Deception. And then you have a shop over on your homepage, veilofdeception.com/shop minus merchandise. And I saw you have a lot of stuff available for there. So would you be kind enough to tell the fans out there what merch you currently have available for them so they could support you?
Sure. As far as I'm concerned, every little helps, So even if people just go to our Facebook page and they give us a like, for me, that's already a lot. Let's get that straight. In terms of like buying our merch and so on and so forth, the best thing they can do is, as you rightly said, go to our website. There's a shop section on the website. And I believe the first album is now sold out. We managed to sell a few hundred copies, which for an underground like ourselves, we really think it's quite amazing. So I think we still have, Tearing Up the Roots, of course, we still have plenty of copies left. And the logo T-shirt, the VOD logo T-shirt, which is also killer. We have it in many different sizes. We've had people from all over the world buy our stuff, and actually we even have a section of that on the Veil of Deception Facebook page. We have there's a section there called the VOD Faithful, and there you will see plenty of pictures who bought our stuff from all over the world. Man, I am so proud of that. People from all the way from the U.S., of course, from Brazil, from Russia, from Japan, from Africa, from all over Europe, Thailand, of course. So it's funny how, for us, being a relatively small band and all, we have managed to reach out to so many people, from all over the world. It's really, really something.
That's awesome. That's a great idea to have pictures of your fans on your website there too.
Yeah, because you get the fans involved. They love doing it, and for us, we're just so proud to show their pictures. Show their support. So it's
it lets people know you got the fan base, which is always good. Yeah,
it sure is.
Absolutely. And on the same website, the veilofdeception.com website, I noticed you also have a video tab, and I noticed there you have quite a few actually, official videos. And I'd like to talk about these videos for the Tearing Up the Roots release. I saw there was Summer's Dying, The Entity, and Personal Holy Grail. These videos were there to support this latest release of yours. Would you be able to tell us more about these videos, where these videos were produced, and maybe who directed these videos?
Basically, there's also another video, that's Ear Splitting Silence video. But actually, Ear Splitting Silence and The Entity, those two tracks are off the first offering, our first album, Deception Unveiled. Even though it was an independent release, we were determined to at least produce a couple good videos, to promote the album, and I think they turned out terrific. So Ear Splitting Silence, the producer was he's actually a movie director. He's done a couple really good documentaries. He's from Kent and south of Austria, called Victor Jaschke, but actually I think he now resides in Indonesia. But he comes back to Austria every once in a while to visit family and everything. So that's how I got a hold of him, and I was like, can you do our video before you head back? And he did it very candidly. For him it was like fun more than anything else. So he did the Ear Splitting Silence video. It worked out very, very well. People loved it. And then we did The Entity. For The Entity, we used a good friend of mine. His name is Claudio Barrantes. He's German, actually. He's a very talented young guy, up and coming, sort of like a movie director. That's what he does for a living as well. He's now working for a company doing all the videos and animations and that kind of thing. and sometimes he does, like music videos on the side. So he did The Entity. That was did downtown in Vienna. That was a lot of fun to shoot, man. That was a lot of fun. And then he also did the Summer's Dying video as well. For that one, we went deep into the woods of Austria. That was quite an amazing experience as well. It's a killer song, so we had to make a great video out of it, and we think that it turned out great. And he also did the lyric video for Personal Holy Grail, which is I find a lot of lyric videos kind of boring, just one picture there in the background and all the words like flipping around all the time. But I think what he did with us, it's a very sort of like engaging and interactive lyric video, so we're very proud of it as well. So, but yeah, basically it was Claudia who did our latest 3 videos. We're going to use them very soon in support for the next album as well. I think through Slip Trick, I think we're now going to do another lyric video, and that's already in the making. That's the last I heard about it. It's going to be for the song Shadows on the Wall, which is a killer song, one of our heaviest songs on Tearing Up the Roots. If we ever do like another proper video, I think we're going to use Claudio again, because he's a friend of mine. He loves to do it, and we just love to be in his videos. He's very creative. He always comes up with great storylines for the video. It's not just us playing in front of the camera. There's always a story behind it. So I really give this guy all the credit in the world. So I think without a doubt we're going to use him again.
Excellent news, and yeah, he's makes your videos very entertaining, and I'm glad that it's working out for you. And what you just mentioned there is very good, because I'd like to know, for the fans out there, you just mentioned what you're planning on doing, but if we can go into more detail of what the fans can expect next from Veil of Deception. You're talking about a new offering. So what is the game plan for your next offering, and when do you expect to have this available for them?
Okay, this is kind of like newsflash, but I think we're hitting the studio in July next year. We're now writing like crazy, man. You wouldn't believe it. So we're very heavily involved in the writing process right now. It's turning out great. I think we already have almost like 5 songs, like almost finished. Well, not almost finished, pretty much finished. And then we have a few others that are somehow still in the making, halfway through kind of thing, but they're all turning out great. I think it's going to be a more mature effort, and probably as heavy as Tearing Up the Roots, but, probably catchier, with more killer melodies here and there. It'll all be there, all the chuggy riffing and all the melodic vocals, the soaring vocals. And so but if anything, it's going to be a more mature effort. So that's going to be in July next year. Up until then, we're going to be doing some gigs, obviously, probably not to the extent that we have done as of late. So we'll do, probably less gigs so that we can concentrate a little more on the new songs, but still, we will have a presence. So we will keep all our fans pleased,
Excellent.
But that's the master plan for that. Let's see how it all pans out. But it's very exciting. I have to say, it's really exciting. At the end of the day, making a new album is kind of like having a baby. So we're now impregnated, and working real hard on it, man, real hard. So we'll see how it turns out.
That is great news. And by the way, do you have a working title for your brand new offering that you're working on, or is that still in the background? Have you decided that yet?
Still in the background. I mean, I have a few ideas that I've been tinkering with, so we'll see which one we go for. But I think I will have like a definitive album title, before we hit the studio, But I think it depends on the rest of the songs, what they sound like. Then I will go for one or the other. So I still have to get a good taste of what the whole sound and atmosphere to it will sound like, and then I will decide.
Very, very cool. I totally understand that. And I want to put it out there, upon your next release, when it does come out there, I would like to have you come back on the Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio to talk about this music. But if you do, you have to talk. You can't be so shy like you are now.
Yeah, right.
I'm just joking.
Yeah, it's actually offer. I'll take you up. I'll take you up on it. I'll be more than happy to come back.
And I'm more than happy to have you come back so we can talk about your brand new release when that does happen. So we'll mark it in when the album comes out, and just the Metal Meltdown season. We'll have Daniel of Veil of Deception back to talk about this brand new music, and that's going to be great.
I'll take your word for it.
You know it will be. You mentioned earlier the band all have everyone has jobs and all that, and I'm interested to know of what you do, Daniel, when you're not doing the band. What is your livelihood?
Good question. Well, chances are you're going to find me, like going to gigs, both bands and small local bands, because I think you really have to support everybody. I spend a lot of time at home, listening to my CDs. I'm a very avid CD and vinyl collector.
Nice.
All kinds of metal, including hard rock, some punk as well. Also, I do music reviews actually for a Spanish label called Necromance. So they do this really cool digital magazine. I think they put it out monthly. So I do reviews there as well. So as you can see, a lot of what I do, is metal related somehow. But other than that, I do have a family, whom I love to bits, and I love to spend time with them. And also, I like to do some sports as well. I like my running, stuff like that. And I am a movie buff as well. I like movies with a bit of a twist, if you know what I mean. So that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Where do you have the time? Where do you find the time to do all that you do? You seem like you are very busy. I mean, you have a family, you support the scene, you enjoy movies, and you have a job. How do you do all this?
I do have a regular job, man. I'm a sales guy, so sometimes I even have to do a bit of traveling around, across Europe. Look, if you organize properly, you will get there. Because if you want something badly, you will get there. It just takes a little bit of organizing. That's all.
You're from Spain. You lived in the UK. You're currently in Austria, and you seem to like to travel. That's outstanding.
Yeah, I spent some time in the States as well. Actually, that's how I got my twang. Which I don't think I'm going to be losing my American twang anytime soon.
No, I would definitely think that you are American from just talking with you. I would never have expected that you weren't. But yeah, you've been all around the world, man. Congratulations on that.
Yeah, I haven't done too badly. Yeah, I'm a bit of a world trotter.
Yeah, that's very, very interesting. And I want to thank you for spending time with us, Daniel, on the Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio tonight. I do believe we learned a lot about Veil of Deception. And the name of that band, the name of your band, I don't know where I heard it, but the name does sound very familiar, as I mentioned to you when you approached me yesterday. I think you mentioned from Death Angel, and so it's probably one of their songs that I've heard, but the name does definitely ring a bell. And I thank you for tonight's opportunity to talk about your music, and I'm looking forward to the future to have you back on to talk about your new offering when it does come out there. And I'd like to know if at this time you'd like to say anything to your loyal fans that are out there tuning in at this time.
Well, absolutely. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you, Dave, for taking the time. I really, really appreciate it. As I told you, I've been a bit of a secret fan, lately, following your every interview, a lot of the bands that you do, I just love them. So I figured I would follow suit and contact you and see if I could get an interview with you. So thank you so much. And it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you tonight. Now, for our fans out there, keep doing what you're doing, just keep supporting the band, keep coming to our shows, keep staying tuned. That's all I can say, every little helps. So if you can help the band in any way you can, by all means do so, In general, for all the metal fans out there, just support your underground scene, support your local bands, because even the bands that are now very big, they had to start somewhere. So don't be a prick and just support everybody, every little band, because you don't know when some of those bands, they do have buckets of talent, and sometimes you go see them and you're like, how come these guys are playing in front of 20 people, because they're just as good as any other big band. So let's support everybody. Let's make the underground, big as it once was. Let's just support everybody, because at the end of the day, we're talking metal. This is about people helping other people.
Especially in the underground, all the bands and the fans and even the radios, we all need to support each other to support the underground. So yeah, I truly believe in that and what you said. And by the way, the check's in the mail for what you said about the Metal Meltdown interviews, so thank you for that.
No problem at all.
Just joking about that, yeah. So I thank you. I definitely thank you for your eagerness in getting this interview done, and we got to it pretty quick. I mean, you just approached me yesterday, and I was overwhelmed by your passion for wanting to get with me for an interview. So how could I refuse? So yeah, I'm very happy to have gotten with you today, that we could learn more about Veil of Deception, and I'm looking forward to the future with your new release. And you're a welcome guest back on the Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio. With every release you have out there, you'll have a home here to talk about it, because this is what we do. We support the underground, and we appreciate the bands that appreciate us. It's like a teamwork. It's like we need to support each other, so you'll always have our support here.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much. And just keep doing what you're doing. Seriously, what you're doing is so important, and it's really appreciated by all of us. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you so much.
And we appreciate what you're saying. And I want to wish you, before we go, I want to wish you and all in Veil of Deception a great what's left of 2017, a great 2018, and all the years to come. And I'm looking forward to hearing your new music. And I wish you the best of success. The lineup changes, that they're going to happen. And it sounds like you have the right fit at the right time. And so I wish you the best of success with that. And keep doing what you do, and we'll be here to talk about it here on the Metal Meltdown on Metal Messiah Radio. So how about at this time we go crank up some more Veil of Deception and crank it up loud?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Let's do it. Metal Maniacs, crank up some more Veil of Deception.